Yo, what's good? Welcome to God Likes Gods, and today we will be responding or reacting to yet another Reddit post. So, this Reddit post is from a subreddit called Change My View, and it goes as follows: AI will only benefit the top 1% and leave the 99% behind. So let me give you a quick summary of what this person was basically saying. So the post is saying that as AI gets smarter and outperforms humans at everything, only the rich, which is the top 1%, will benefit because they own the technology. The rest of us, the 99%, will lose our jobs, lose our value in the economy, and be left behind. So, in simple terms, they are predicting a future whereby AI will help the rich to become so rich that the gap between them and us, because of course I'm not rich, I mean, I'm making YouTube videos. So, the gap between them, the rich people, and us, the people who are, in the middle class and the lower class, um, will just be wide, will be so poor while they keep getting richer and richer and richer and richer and richer. So basically that's what he was saying. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to read three comments, and after reading each comment, I'm going to give my opinion and perspective on what I think about what that specific comment is saying and about the topic in general. So the first comment pointed out that AI will have an uneven impact across industries, meaning that there are certain industries that are going to, um, really suffer because of AI being able to do the things that they are doing. And there'll be industries who will not be affected. And there'll also be industries that benefit from it. And then another point they made is that some fields like graphic design will be hit hard as they are hit hard right now. And small businesses will have an advantage because instead of hiring people and waiting to acquire certain skills in order to do certain things, they'll just use AI. For instance, if I have a business, maybe I sell ice cream, right? And I want to market my business on the internet. Instead of hiring a graphic designer to create posters, to create posts, to create advertisements on Facebook or on Twitter, I'll just go to Canva, and create images with their AI model, and then put my text there and even use templates, which will mean that I'll be doing this graphic design work in a few minutes, right? Whereas if I had to hire a graphic designer, I had to take out, I could have taken out money out of my pockets, and at the same time, the graphic designer might take a few days before they have what I need. So it makes sense in 2025 for a business or even a YouTuber, to just use AI to create thumbnails, to create posts on social media, and keep it moving. So the idea, here's what I think, right? So maybe AI is not so much about the rich versus the poor, but it's about who adapts faster. But then the question is, who's going to adapt faster with the help of AI between the people who are rich and the people who are poor? Now, I think it depends, right? Because as we speak in 2025, a lot of people have access to AI. A lot of AI is free. Of course, some of them have premium versions where you have to pay a few hundred rands, right? But the free version for a lot of people is enough. And there's so many of them. There's so many of these AI models. For instance, there's ChatGPT, but then there are other text-based AI models that do similar things that AI that do similar things, that ChatGPT does, you know. So normal people have access to AI, and normal people use AI in order to accelerate their work, you know. Let me give you an example with my own life. So currently, I'm in university, and I've used the help of AI in writing every assignment. You understand? And I'm sure that there are people who use AI to study. I'm sure there are people who use AI to create practice questions. You know, there's so many ways that people are using AI nowadays, and all you need is a cell phone or a laptop or a tablet, right? You need some data, and then you need creativity. You just need to be creative about how you use AI, and the more creative you are, the better it will benefit you. You know, so and it's a matter of who has the creativity and the ideas to leverage AI the most. And to do that, you don't need to have money. You don't need to have money. That's just the reality. You know, that's a fact. You don't need to have money. You don't need to be rich in order to come up with ideas on how to best leverage AI. Anyone can do it. Anyone can do it. If you have data, you have a device, that's all you need. Two things. That's all you need. Two things. You know, so to say that AI will only benefit the rich because they own it is not entirely true. There is some truth in it. There is some truth in it because the people who create AI can, I don't know, I think they can push their narratives. You know, they can program it so that it serves their causes. You know, if somehow, okay, let me say one company in America um creates an AI model, and maybe their objective is to convince the entire world that America is the best country in the world. They are good at anything. You know, they are good in entertainment, sports. They rule in anything. Maybe that's their agenda. I don't know what benefit that would give them, but maybe that's their agenda. They're saying that America is good at everything and it's the best country. So maybe if I'm on ChatGPT, right, and I'm saying which one is the best country between South Africa or America, it will always say America. You know, it will always paint America um, as a good country, or a country that's better than every other country. You know, but that's not the case with these AI models. A lot of them are honest. You know, a lot of them base their responses on the information that they find online, right? Or information that they find uh, on the database that is fed to them, you know. And we don't know what the database is, but one thing we know is that a lot of the data that they use to train these AI models is from online sources, you know. And online, there's a lot of information about every country. You know, Google can't be biased. There's no way. There's no way, because one person is going to write an article from South Africa and about South Africa, and they're going to be honest about what's happening in South Africa. And someone in America will do the same thing. They'll be honest about what's happening in America. You understand? So the information that you get online about any place in the world reflects the reality of what's actually happening, because people are honest. Yes, there's misinformation and disinformation, but you also have a lot of information that is honest about what is happening around the world, you know. So AI can't be biased. So I don't know how well the people who make AI or who own these companies are going to benefit more than the people who use AI. I don't know. I don't know. The only disadvantage of AI is that, yes, it is true that there are people who don't have a cell phone and data. You understand? They have no internet connection. Yes, there are a lot of people who don't have that. And they are the people who will get left behind, you know. But the question is, who are those people? I would say it's probably people in, the lower class, people in third world countries, in situations whereby the circumstance is so poor and dire that it's even hard for people to have a cell phone that can connect to the internet. Uh, they probably don't even have internet access. Those are the people that'll get left behind, right? But there's a lot of people who still do have access to this technology, even though they're not rich. You understand? Maybe they do have enough money, to be on the internet, right? But they're not rich. You understand? They're not rich. They're not in the top 1%. No, they're struggling in some areas, and this gives them the opportunity to use AI to better themselves. So enough with that rant. Let me go on the second comment. So, um, the second comment points out that AI boosts business growth. It saves time, helps entrepreneurs, and may also create new jobs. So the question is that AI will grow the economy, but who benefits from this growth? Okay, cool. Here's what I think about that, right? Obviously, like we said in the previous comment, or like the previous comment said, AI will impact industries unevenly. There are some industries that will suffer, like graphic designing, while there are some industries that will improve. And the second comment um, um, supports that claim. Businesses will grow. Businesses won't need to hire graphic designers in order to create graphics. Meaning that it will save money as far as that is concerned. And of course, this will affect graphic designers because they'll have no jobs. But also, at the same time, maybe graphic designers can start incorporating AI in order to make great art. Because think about it in this way: I'm a business, right? And I don't have a graphic design team. You understand? I just have random people who, maybe there's somebody in finance, maybe there's somebody um in who's a manager of some department, but no one is a graphic designer. But there are some people who understand graphics. There are people who are creative and artistic, but they're not full blown graphic designers. Excuse me. They're not full blown graphic designers, right? And then I give them the task to create graphics for the business, and they create something that's decent or something that's good enough um, to actually represent the company, right, or the business, right? But then a graphic designer who has the mind of a creative, who has spent years studying colors, studying composition, studying all these different elements and nuances of art. You understand? If they start using AI, they will definitely create better art than, the random guy at the company who makes graphics for the business. You understand? That person will just do something in 2 minutes, while the graphic designer knows that I can create stuff in 2 minutes using AI. But what if I spend 30 minutes and really focus all of my creative powers on creating something amazing, so it can improve the work of graphic designers for sure. It's just that maybe graphic designers need to evolve in a certain way. I don't know in what way, but maybe they need to learn how to animate, maybe they need to learn how to edit. Maybe they are the ones who are going to unlock new creative possibilities through AI. You understand? I mean, if I have the brain of a graphic designer and I'm using AI, of course I'm going to be better than a random guy who's using AI to make graphics. I mean, it's a no-brainer. You understand? Um, I don't know if that's all, but yeah. Okay, the question is, if the economy grows, since businesses now don't have to pay 100 people to do certain work, because that same work can be done using AI. And in order to use that AI, you just need two people, right? Meaning, um, um, they save the money that they could have paid, those 100 people. Um, of course, the question is, okay, what about those 100 people? Where are they going to get money? Aren't they going to suffer while businesses get richer? You understand? Businesses will need less employees, you understand, in order to survive and operate the business. But what happens to those people who would have been hired at these businesses? What are they going to do? Because now the things that they could have been hired for, AI can do, and AI can do them quicker and cheaper, and AI never gets tired. You understand? So what happens to those people? That's a big question. I don't know. I really don't know. I really don't know what will happen to those people, maybe okay, let me go to the next comment, because the next comment kind of gives an idea of um what this could mean for people who are disadvantaged by AI, right? So, okay, cool. The last comment says, AI empowers individuals. Cheap tools like ChatGPT make people more efficient. So the idea is that, or rather, the question is, the point is that AI will level the playing ground if people know how to use it. So going back to what I was saying in the previous comment, or when I was responding to the previous comment, the people who could have been hired. Okay, let me make a specific example. Graphic designers, right? I've heard someone say graphic designers are obsolete. They're no longer relevant because AI, even Canva, can do their work in minutes. I mean, even I use Canva to make my thumbnails, and I make them in less than 10 minutes. You understand? But perhaps 20 years back, if you wanted to create a thumbnail on YouTube, you had to hire someone to do it for you. You understand? So, um, now what will happen to graphic designers? They don't have jobs. There's probably somebody who spent 4 years getting their graphic design degree, and while they're doing that, they've been working very hard in order to make sure that they are the best graphic design artist that they can be. But then immediately when they finish, AI comes in, Canva comes in, and all these products are now commercial, and companies are no longer hiring graphic designers. They just use AI in order to create all their graphic design needs. You understand? So, what of that person? What happens to that person now who just spent 4 years in varsity trying to get this degree? I will go back to what I said. Even the people who will lose their jobs because of AI, they can make their job valuable. They can bring it back to life by using the same AI that is meant to prevent them, that is meant to replace them. I mean, yeah, they can do that, and all they need to do now is just, if you have the skills, the psychological and the creative skills of a graphic designer, AI will help you do your job better. And there is no way that a random person who doesn't have the creative mind of a graphic designer can use AI art better than you. It's impossible. It's impossible. There's no way. There is no way. There is no way. It's kind of like, yes, AI can now write. Let's say I want to write a book, I want to write a novel, but I have no skills, I have no training, I have no experience. I want to write a book from scratch. I've never read any book on writing, but I'm saying to myself, okay, I'm going to use AI to write a story about one, two, three, and four, right? And I do write that story, and I do finish that novel. Now imagine if a qualified and an experienced and an sorry, and a very accomplished um, writer or novelist, says, okay, I can write on my own, but how can AI help me? You understand? If I start implementing AI into my work, how will it help me? Chances are it's going to help them come up with ideas quicker. It's going to help them you know, make complex storylines cohesive. It's going to make them identify certain gaps in their storylines, something that they have to do on their own, or something that they have to do via an editor, or with an editor, or with a manuscript, what. The people who read manuscripts and make sure that they are ready to be published. You understand? All those people, all that help. Now, yes, you can still use those people so that they can help your work get better. But at the same time, you can also use AI. So now you don't just use the people that you trust, you can also use AI on top of that. And AI can probably see the things that other people can't see. That there is a role it can play in the job of a novelist. And possibly, right? I don't know, but there is a possibility that it could help that novelist be better. You understand? Because already they have the skills of a novelist. Now it's just a matter of them leveraging AI in a way that will benefit them. And no matter what, their use of AI will produce better work than somebody who's not a novelist, a random person who tries to write a novel without any experience, without any expertise, while using AI. You understand? I don't know if that makes sense, but to me, I feel like that makes sense. The people who will benefit from AI are people who know how to use AI in a smart way. And I think the people who will be able to do that are people who already have skills, you know, who already are creative in some shape or form, not random people who just type up some things on AI and say, let's see what comes out. You understand? Even if you make AI art, you must have an eye for what looks good. You understand? If you don't have that eye, you can use AI, but you'll just choose whatever AI gives you and says, oh, this is what I'm going to present to the people. But a graphic designer is going to take that picture and say, this is good, but what if I edit it in this way using Photoshop or using Illustrator, or using Canva. What if this is missing color? This is missing a certain angle. This is missing uh, ambience. I must add contrast, I must add this and this and that, and all these elements that uh, you can't use, all these elements that AI can't really um, help you master. You understand? AI just gives you what it thinks you want, but a graphic designer can take that picture and then modify it using their creative powers and their creative skills. I don't know if that makes sense, but then in conclusion, I feel like I agree with some of the comments that I found on Reddit. AI will benefit some industries. AI will make some industries or some skills obsolete, but at the same time, the people who have skills that are endangered can use AI to better themselves, to empower themselves, and create new jobs and create new skills. Reinvent um, the skills that they possess, which are said to be going extinct. They can empower themselves basically. But then tell me what you think. Do you think AI will only help the rich, or can it actually give regular people more power too? Tell me what you think. Leave a comment in the comment section. Like, share, subscribe, and until next time, goodbye.